Welcome to the Essentially You podcast. Bruna, honey, how are you doing today, girl? It's so good to see you.
Oh, it's great to see you. I am doing amazing. Actually, today is like the 90th day of my program doing the metabolism. So it's interesting that our meeting come like on the perfect time. I'm very excited, very happy, and feeling honored to be here talking to you.
Oh, I am so honored to have you as well. And I know you came on, you have been one of my amazing women who joined me with my metabolism and hormone program. And what I would love for you to do to just kind of dive in, I already did a little intro about you before we got in, but I would love for you to just dive into, let's take it back to right before we got started together. And what was going on with you at the time? That it really just you felt called to get some outside support. You felt called to join this program and work with me. Can you talk a little bit about what was that defining moment for you where you're just like, I need to do something. I need to do something right now.
Yeah, so it was actually on March 15th of this year was my son's Ezekiel's first birthday, and I ended up at the hospital due to a stress episode. So just to summarize a little, I had a very complicated birth last year due to an issue with my pelvis. I was in labor for 24 hours, and I had a hemorrhage on the day right after my baby was born. So when I got home from the hospital, I couldn't barely walk due to the pain. And for months after Zeke was born, I was diagnosed with pelvic floor dysfunction, which I started to do treatments for. And during the therapy treatment, I learned about the effects that stress can have on this particular problem. Since the vagus nerve is what connects your brain to your body and is also linked to your diaphragm, which is also connected to the pelvis in some way that I don't know, but you probably know way better than me. So, because I work in the finance industry and my job it can be very stressful, I started to become very concerned about returning to work. And at that time, like the solution that we found as a family was to bring my mom from Brazil to help with the baby so I could manage the transition in a smooth way. But my problem, I believe, everything started with the labor, and which resulted in the pelvic problems, but I got exacerbated upon my return to work when none of my clothes work, and I no longer felt like myself. My stress level, just thinking about how I would manage everything, like being a mom, managing the house, my marriage, my work. And at that moment that I look in the mirror and I couldn't recognize myself. So I know, of course, maternity changes, and I'm truly grateful for being a mom. But for me at that time, it was like something inside me was not right. I was like, I wasn't myself anymore, not because I had become a mother, but more because I was in a very stressful moment of my life, overweight, with super low energy, and still handling everything around me like everything was okay. So after the hospital episode was March 15, I started a treatment with a psychiatrist, but I knew that a medication was not the solution. Of course, I had to manage my stress and I did take the medication for a while, but I knew there was a better approach for all this where I could manage my stress and find myself again. So I love, I know you for 10 years since I stopped to take my birth control, have read all of your books. I am a huge fan. I love you. I listen all your podcasts. So, and you always says, and I love when you say that we are the CEO of our own health. And I have no, like, I knew you I do the detox. I have done the detox. I think like more than 4 times. A huge fan. So I follow you a lot in all aspects. And when I heard about the metabolism and hormone coaching program, I just signed up right away and was right on the like was do you know like that God moment that I needed to do that and came on perfect time. I had just come back from the hospital. So I believe like for me that was the best decision I have made.
Oh, thank you so much. And so, just kind of a little bit of a recap. Because I remember our first conversation, Bruna, where, yeah, the stress had just been kind of insurmountable for you and all the things that you were carrying. You had now been pretty much a year out. Your son was turning a year old. And basically, you hadn't seen the kind of recovery that you were hoping for. And if anything, you were feeling more stressed. And
Oh
that
yeah.
you knew that there was a lot more going on than being prescribed something specifically for mood issues, which
Oh, definitely.
definitely
Not
helped a
just
bit.
stress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely helped a bit. And that's, I remember when we connected and you knew that there was a more comprehensive solution for you. And so we dove in, right? We dove right in. And so what I want to do, because I think every mama listening to this or every woman listening to this can feel that, can feel, especially moms, if they've birthed a baby and they've gone through postpartum and they get to a year because the year is like that transformation moment where I guess everyone's supposed to be normal again. And so
Yeah.
moms come out of that year and they're just like,
No, no.
happened for me. I don't feel amazing a year out. And wonder, is it still my hormones? Like, what's going on with me? Why isn't anyone talking to me about this? What can I be doing? Multifaceted to heal my body, heal my metabolism, address my hormones, and
And
make
I think it's exactly what you said. Sorry, but like people don't talk about it. So
no,
like you have a babe, and like after 6 months, when you were supposed, like 6 months is a blessing because in US we say like 4 months you are supposed to return it to work when you have a good job, and like, oh okay, I have to perform now. I have to handle a newborn and continue like everything is okay, and I feel people don't talk about it. So like all the friends I had, like they just like, oh yeah, it's gonna be great, and then yeah, it was amazing. I love my baby to death. He was the
yeah,
best thing
absolutely,
that happened to me, but I was not myself, and
yeah.
I don't wanna accept that as my new version. Do you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I said, like, I know I can relate. Girl, I can relate. Ooh. And I can relate to also juggling all the things in the air, like taking on
Yeah,
all the things and acting as if you got it all handled when you feel like inside of yourself, none of it's, I mean, it looks good on the outside, but it doesn't feel so
yeah,
great on the inside. Okay, so let's skip. I just want to skip to the glow up, right? Because so now we know
exactly.
everyone's like, oh
We
man,
are done.
place.
We overcome
We've
that.
done it. We've overcome it. We did it. Yay, we did it. We're at the glow up. So I would love for you. We're obviously at the end of the program. A lot of things have shifted for you, and I would love for you to just share with us. And then we're going to walk it back again. But share with us the epic wins that you experienced. What were your biggest aha moments? And what did you notice the most throughout the program, and definitely at the end of the program, to kind of just give us a sense of kind of what happened for you.
So it's funny because like today is I am the 90th day, but I don't feel like it's the end of the program because I really feel like, and for me, I believe it, this is the biggest win. I feel this is something I can take for life. Do you know? It's not some diet that I am doing, like some, and I feel besides that, of course, I think the main one is I feel like myself again in the same way that I became this new version of myself as a mom, a job like I can say is a job, right? I am in love with. And with your help and with this program, I have been feeling energetic and motivated again. And I lost 16 pounds in 60 days. I usually wait my like when I reach the month. I don't like to wait every week, but I didn't check my weight now. But when it was 60 days, I have lost 16 pounds, and I was like, wow. And to be able like to address my stress and taking care of my mind and my body as a whole, and finally being able to exercise and eat health and manage my stress without the medication. I feel like these are the big wins for me.
I love that so much. And one of the things that was so important to me that we talked about out the gate was sustainability. Right? If this isn't sustainable, I mean, yes, it's a win to move through a program and get some awesome results. And even if that's the end of it, still a win because we can carry through on those wins. Like I've had that
Yeah.
happen to me, but that is never my intention. Anytime I create something or curate something is like, how do we make this sustainable? Because I think what you and I both know is, guess what, girl, you're going to be a mom tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like that ain't going away. That is not.
It's so true.
And so that, having a chunk of time to feel better isn't going to take away from the obligations and the things that you're going to be doing, especially the biggest job, as you mentioned too, as is being a mama. Being a mom is no joke. It's hard. It is so hard.
Yeah.
And so
And
how do you,
we needed to be on our best version to
yes,
be the best mom. Like
yeah,
that is the funny thing, because everybody, like I feel like a lot of, at least what I see around me, a lot of my friends like are so focused on making their baby happy. But one thing I have learning on this journey is that if you are not happy and if you are not feeling yourself, you cannot give your best to your baby. So, and I love it. Like a lot of things that you say about self care is not being selfish. Do you know? It's actually the opposite. Because in order for us to love everyone, to take care of everyone, we need to take care of ourselves.
yeah. I mean, when we don't feel good, oh, especially women,
Everything. Go.
if we don't feel good, it all falls apart. Like
Yeah.
everyone who's counting on us, including our kids and our partners,
Yeah.
they're just like, what is going on? We can't afford to have you not function. And I know that
Yeah.
women know that as they're thinking about it. Like, when was a time where you didn't feel good? And everyone's looking at you like, you better get it together because we need you to have it together.
Yeah, and we don't have help. Like in my family lives in Brazil. So my husband's family is from New York, and we live in Florida. So we don't have like help, and it is hard. Like I feel like when you have a support system is good. It's still hard, but you have like help outside. But when you are like just you and your husband, is very hard. And
Yeah.
for me, the awakening call like was when I was at the hospital. Was like, no, I need to change that.
Yeah.
I can perform the way I was doing. Do you know?
Yeah, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just bringing it back to, what are the things that what would have been the most powerful that you're going to maintain? Like, what are the things you're just like, this is a staple. Like, I've built it as a habit. It's non-negotiable for me, and it's going to become a staple for me moving forward.
I feel, of course, the self-care,
Mhm,
but when with the program, I feel like the food planning,
mhm,
because I feel like it is really hard for you to manage your day, and when you are a working mom, like when you have a full-time job like I do, it's really hard for you to, oh, okay, let me live the week how it goes, because everything goes wrong, because you have to manage yourself, your baby. So for me, the food planning is amazing, because I was always the interesting thing for me is like I am a jiu-jitsu purple belt. I was a Brazilian championship, like a Pan American. I work out my entire life. Like I run, I tried to be a bodybuilding, didn't work out, but I really tried. So I was addicted to diet and exercise my entire life. And I always see a result with that. So for me, what I changed is when after I had the baby, it's like no matter what I did, I was still stuck it on, like, do you know when you feel like you're in a twilight zone? Like, what is going on? I cannot lose this weight, this belly. This is not me. I try to do a diet. I try to work out. I do like, but it's not sustainable. Like in 2 weeks, I am like mad and angry. So for me, it was definitely the food planning. Like I love, like I am very detail oriented, and I love it to understand the impact that things have on my health. And what I love about the program is that you don't only provide the tools to follow, but you explain why they are important. For example, consuming probiotic food, how the glucose levels affect your body, teaching you to understand your personal glucose levels, like, and understand how food can affect it. And I did wear the GCM monitor. I don't do all the time, but with your explanation, like even not wearing a GCM monitor, I could understand like you work on my glucose levels. And also for me, like the class, you had the two classes that I love about, was one about the stress and the other one about the sleep. And they really caught my attention, and the book recommendations that you gave. So I feel everything, but if I would say one particular thing would be the food planning, because
Mhm.
that allow me to be more organized, and having not a guide, because what I love is that you don't say like, oh, that is your lunch, that is your dinner, that is, it's just like, oh, here are the suggestions and you can follow them. And I am addicted to your black bean salsa. And and for the turkey meatballs, it's so funny because my baby loves it. So so I found really a way, like I cook it every Saturday. I do my meal plan. I do like the containers with all the vegetables. When I heard like you saying like, oh, eating like 20 types of vegetable, I was like, what? Like this is a lot. But then when you really started like to introduce that to your life, like, and you see like your mind change, and then your body change because you adapted to it, and you really like, I love that. I feel that I am feeling my body on the best way possible, and my baby too.
Mm.
So yeah, I think that's it.
I love it. I mean, we know, you being someone who's worked out and who's even competed, that movement is so critical, but food is really the
Oh yeah.
transformation. And when we can dial
Eh,
that in, especially when we know why and the impact it has on our bodies, like that's the game changer. So that's what I'm so glad you really got away. You walked away from that, because that's what I really hoped.
Yeah, but also like I forgot to mention, but one thing about exercise is that I had that mentality that I like, oh, for me to exercise, I needed to go like in a, I don't know, in a run for 10 kilometers. I had like to, I don't know, to do a boot camp class.
No, no
And
pain, gain.
yeah, and you completely change that mindset. And for me, this is another, like, again, a huge, huge one, because now like I go walk with my babies. I never thought I would like like check my steps, but I am addicted to check on my steps. I make sure that I am on the targets, like to be an active person every day. And it's crazy, like how it's not crazy actually, it's like, it's the reality, how your body answer to that. Like you don't need to, and that I feel like the break of that concept for me was life changing. No matter what, like understanding that I don't need to eat every 3 hours. I don't need to like kill myself at the gym to lose weight. And
Yeah. Well, and especially, so many women coming into this program, including you and myself. I mean, I believe that when I was younger, I was like, if I don't whoop my booty at a workout, then it is not
yeah.
worth it. But then and I don't know if this happened to you, but I have done so much exercise that I completely burned out. Like I've over
Yeah.
exercised too many times, and that's happened to so
Oh,
many women. And so I had to learn the hard way multiple times of like maybe not over exercise. And so I was really fascinated and interested, especially around our metabolic health. Like, does over exercise benefit us in our hormones, especially if we're already stressed? And it's a no. And
oh,
so,
definitely.
how do we do it? How do we move our bodies that is of beneficial, metabolically beneficial, without destroying our system, without driving inflammation? And walking is a big part. Like that's the longevity hack of the century. And I do also recommend resistance training, but I wanted to meet everybody with where they're at. And so the way that I build the movement piece of this program is meeting you where you're at and just being really
Yeah.
honest and candid about the research. And so, some of us have to take it a step back. Some of us get
It,
to go a little bit more, and just note that it's, if you optimize it in the right way, you get to optimize your metabolism.
oh no, that is total, like 100%. Because I'm gonna talk for myself. Like I had the baby, so in 2 months the doctor said, "Oh, you can go back to exercise." And my husband gave me for Mother's Day a Peloton for my first Mother's Day. So I got the Peloton, I got the weight, like I bought the weights. We did a gym at my home because it was like, oh, I'm gonna be with the baby like on maternity leave. So when he sleeps, I'm gonna exercise. And when the doctor said, "Oh, you are good to go," I complete, like I went back to my previous routine. Do you know, I'm gonna do lifting weights, I'm gonna do my Peloton. And I feel like that, of course, it was not the main reason, but it was one of the causes with my pelvic dysfunction.
Yeah.
And I feel like and that set me back, because I was like, I was so like overwhelmed, because like, oh, when I tried to take care of me, I actually like did everything wrong. But it was not that I did everything wrong, it was my body changed. And I feel like you explained that a lot, not just in the program, but listen, your podcast has to do with our age, but it also has to do with our hormones. And for me, having like, I was not like, I stopped to use the Peloton when I have the pelvic floor dysfunction, and I never step on it again. And when I started your program, like one thing that we talked about, and I love it, is like that meets you where you are. And you don't have like, I feel you don't have to see that as something that, oh, I'm gonna do that for 60 days and then my life is gonna change. No, like this is a lifestyle change, do you know? And you have to respect your body. And I did that, like I believe you brought that peace to me, and I needed that, like to accept myself where I was and love myself and take care of my body. And like, yeah, I feel 3 weeks ago, I finally went back to the Peloton, and I am back to the Peloton. I am back in like exercise for the walks. And that was also for me a huge change, because brought me back to where, not where I was, but as this new version. But also I feel really good now. It's not like something I am killing myself. And also listen your body. Do you know, like, okay, should I do that? I am good. Yeah, I am good. My energy levels are good. And a lot of things, like I am huge, I do everything Dr. Mariza says. And so i
Oh,
even I even like, I got the whoop strap, I started to use, like I am just like learning and figuring out, but also to manage my stress, to really watch everything, all my levels, and have my body like working perfectly how it does. So yeah, I think
yay. I love it. Well, and I love that you're back on the Peloton, you're doing your workouts and it feels really good. Like,
yeah,
that would not have been a good move months ago. It just wouldn't have been.
no.
Well, speaking of the Peloton and just speaking of, some of the things that you're doing, you talked a little bit about meal planning, which I love. I think it's so makes life so much better and easier. But what are some of the other daily habits? I know you're walking every day. I know you're doing some workouts a couple times a week. I know that you're really mindful about eating metabolically healthy meals because that's
Oh,
actually
yes, I
grandma's.
forgot.
Yeah.
Now that you said, sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, I was saying I forgot. I even brought like my affirmation cards.
Oh,
Like I
yay.
feel that was so funny, because it was our first meeting, and you talk about it, and I had like, yes, like I had to introduce this to me, do you know? Like, and I was already meditating like once a week, like my therapist recommended, like my psychiatrist too, for stress. And then I had the amazing class with you about the affirmations, and I
Yeah.
love it because I never saw from the point that you explained, like, and I applied that. So my daily habits also, I meditated, like usually after lunch, like when my baby's on his nap, I work from home, but I'm in the office 2 times a week. But when I'm home, I put him to sleep. Then I take I take my, usually I have my lunch and I have my Peloton, or I go for a walk with him and don't have the Peloton. I shower and then I sit and have my meditation. I do my
Nice.
affirmations, and I try to do that in the morning too. But sometimes it's just a rush. I try it like, because it's really good to start the day, like you say, like you always say, like set up your goals for the days. But sometimes I am in too much of a rush. And one thing that I learned also is like adapt it for yourself, you know, the way
Mhm.
things work for you. So I feel like in my habits is like the affirmation cards, the meditation, I exercise, I go for walks a lot. Like I try to go outside more, is one thing I was not doing before I started the program. And it's like I learned that with you, and I really push myself to be outside at least one time a day. And yeah, I feel, and the habits also, it's funny because one thing that I love it about the program, because I really, really struggle was with the cravings. Like I had crazy afternoon cravings, like sweet
Yeah.
cravings. And on my period, like my PMS, I could eat the entire fridge. I don't know if you remember, but like our first month, I was like, Dr. Mariza, I need a solution for that, because I feel that I was like every time, like, okay, I do 3 weeks perfect, and then the PMS week comes and I just like, it's a horror show, and I just lose everything. And you're like, no, like let's find the solutions. And with the program, I feel like one of the things that I love is the shakes. I never thought I would be a smoothie girl, but I become it and I love it. And one of them that really works for me, like during my PMS, is the anti-inflammatory, the green smoothie. And it's great for summer here in Florida because it's with coconut water. So I feel that I help it a lot. And also the tools, like you gave a lot of recipes, but one of them that I love it is the dates with almond butter for craving my sweet like in the afternoon. So I feel like that is also another habit, because I really like it's something I feel like some people has like it's salt food. For me is the sweet, and it's something that I like you taught me to, like, you don't need it to burn it, like you don't need it. Oh, I don't want to have that anymore, like it's
Right.
just my body, is
Yeah.
how it functions. So how you can do to like to really fool your body in a natural way, like health way, that it's not going to affect your like your metabolism. So I think that help it a lot, like I would say.
Yeah. I mean, so many of us were taught or are still taught that a lot of the things that we deal with right leading up to our period is to be, again, be ashamed, or it's an issue. And we don't realize that we are more naturally insulin resistant for a reason heading to our period. We don't realize the level of energy that it's required to run that process of, kind of shedding the lining and resetting the system, resetting our whole reproductive cycle. And so our bodies are asking for more carbs. Now,
Yeah.
it can be misinterpreted as chips and cookies and cupcakes and all the things, but
Yeah.
but there are really amazing carbs and really amazing ways to, again, fuel us and give our hormones what they need, give our body what it needs, give our metabolism what it needs, and addressing that craving, like what the real need is, while not sabotaging ourselves at the same time, right? So, and that's what I
Yeah.
think, that's what we were doing. And I just don't ever want women to think like this is something that's wrong with us. It's something that's absolutely normal. There's a reason why that's happening, and we can really solve it and nourish our bodies in a way that really serves us. I love that you have the affirmation cards, and I wanted to speak into that first module because I think that's always the first step. And I don't know how much,
Yeah.
Brunette, that it was the big first step for you. I know for me,
Oh,
checking in
was
where I'm
huge.
going is what allows me to stay on course. And so every time I check in with, oh, who am I becoming? Who is this future Mariza down the road who feels energized and highly functional and feels amazing and has got lots of joy and really loves her daily rituals and loves the way she feels? Like, how do I operate from her? And that is a big part of what the affirmations were, is just a great reminder of where we're going, because who she is already there. We're just trying to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of, at least that was me in the past. I feel like a lot of times you see things and then you think, oh, it's silly,
Yeah, it's
like,
silly. Yeah.
and
Is
oh,
this
it's
going to
silly,
work?
like, or I
Yeah.
don't have time for that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, my
I
life is
know.
too
That's me.
busy. And, and when I talk to you, like, and you talk to me about like doing goals, I am like, I love lists. My husband says that if I allow him, I would plan our life for the next 20 years, because I am a planner. So when you brought me this whole side of not just the affirmation, but setting goals for yourself in a graceful way. Do you know? Not like in a way that are like, oh, you have to accomplish that. This is your goal, but in a graceful way, like who do you want to become? And like what are you gonna do together? I feel like that was really good for me, because brought me a sense like, okay, I'm not happy with myself, I don't like this version of who I am, but I have a vision now, and I am gonna work towards the vision, and I am gonna be I am I'm gonna have grace over myself. Like I'm gonna have bad days, like I'm gonna have my PMS. Like the first month I really screwed because I was like, Dr. Mariza, I did it. Like and I should have consulted with you before, but it was great because you put me on that spot, like that's okay, honey. Do you know, like you don't have it to feel bad. You just have to find the tools. So I think everything, the affirmation cards, the goals, like you being graceful, like you having grace for yourself and understand that that is a process, and looking into this program as a lifestyle change, not as a diet program, not like I'm gonna pay for it and I'm gonna transform my life in like I don't know, in 1 month, I'm going to be a new version of myself. No, like I am going to change step by step. And I think the change comes, but everything together. And the affirmation has a huge, huge part on that. One of them for me was like, I have them here. So is, I deserve it to feel health and vibrant. And I added mine with my Bible verse because for me it has more meaning. And when we started to like declare that our words has power, so you mention like you bring that to you and you start your day in a completely different rhythm. Do you know? Like I deserve it to feel health. I deserve it to feel energetic. I deserve it to feel happy. And I'm gonna find the tools for that. So I feel the affirmation was a big thing. The first
Mhm.
step and my favorite one too.
Yay. And then the last question I have for you, Bruna, honey, and I so appreciate your time today, just sharing your insights and the things that really were needle movers for you is what would you love, what would be your message for every woman listening today? What would be the thing that you would really love for them to take away based from your own journey, your own experience, your own coming onto the other side of everything to some degree? I mean,
I
obviously we're always on a journey, but
Yeah, I feel like the main one is that it's possible to find yourself again after maternity. And of course, we change as a woman, and our baby will always be priority, like I told before. But that doesn't mean we should accept it to be trapped in our body, living with our messy hormones, and having the tools to address our daily busy life, managing the stress, and focusing on our own well-being and health is also a priority, because your baby needs the best version of you. And
Mhm.
again, what you always say, and I take for life, is like we are the CEO of our own health. So nobody's going to do for us. We need to do.
Nobody's
Uh,
gonna do it for us. No, there's I always like who's gonna do it for you? Like especially women. Like who's signing up to do it for you,
nope,
right? There's
no
some
one.
waiting for you to do it for them. Let alone like you and I've had moments, my family, people around me are like, so when are you gonna figure this out so that you can be back to how you were? Um, I love that
Yeah.
message so, so much. And I think it really resonates. I know and the other thing I think is important, whether it's pregnancy, whether it's postpartum, whether it's perimenopause, whether it's menopause, like the one thing I can guarantee every single woman is that your body's going to change. It's changing
Oh,
every single
definitely.
month, right? Every month
Definitely.
you're a whole different you. Your day 13 you is not day 26 you. You know what I'm saying? And so the note that, and it may feel at times, this is kind of what I described a little bit about perimenopause, is that your hormones are shifting without permission. Same thing with
Oh,
pregnancy. Hormones are shifting without permission. I mean, obviously pregnant, but like your body is like, talk about a marathon
constant,
whirlwind.
all the time. Yeah.
But I think especially the transitions into perimenopause and into menopause, that's why so many women are like, is this happening right now? Is this actually
Yeah.
happening to me? Because it's happening. You didn't
What is going on?
go perimenopause, you're up, menopause, you're up. No, we're just like, is this actually happening right now? Because it
Yeah.
happens without permission. And for some women it happens earlier than they expect. For some women the hormone shifts and variations are way bigger than they anticipated. And so the one thing that we can guarantee is change in our bodies
Oh,
and the constant change, and to have solutions, to have a plan, to know the blueprint for pivots, because you're
Mm.
pivoting, whether you want to or not, it's going to happen to you. It is just going to happen. And the
Oh
more that
yeah.
you can be in front of it, the more that you can be okay with the pivots and have a plan for the pivot, that's how we win the game. That's how we stay ahead of it. That's how we transform with our bodies, because your body's going to transform with or without you. And it
Oh,
you really need to be along for the ride in order
definitely.
to feel really good. And I think that's been the big message for you here is like, hey, I had a baby, man, things happened, my body transformed, and not in a way that I was really loving, like, and it didn't come back the way that I thought. So how do
Oh
I get
yeah.
in front of it?
And the change is like it's not just as you said, it's not just with pregnancy, because the funny thing is you appear in my life when I stopped to take birth control 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I stopped to take birth control. The doctor wanted to recommend me like, oh no, you have to be back to the pills, and I'm like, no. And that is how I started to I found you, and I started to follow you and read the books, and like did the detox. Like no matter the season you are, like we're gonna have to deal with the hormones. I feel like for me the awakening up call happened because I had a baby, and of course I think the age and everything comes to a point like, no, I needed to change that. But we're gonna deal with hormones our entire life, and
Mhm.
we have to take care of ourselves. It's priority.
Yeah. Thank you, Bruna, honey. I so
Thank
appreciate you.
you. Me too. That